How to tell your cat no in a way they understand. Because here's the thing, yelling no at your cat in English literally means nothing to them. Cats don't understand human language commands the way dogs do, so when you shout no at your cat, you're just making noise that might startle them but definitely isn't teaching them what you want. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to communicate boundaries and redirect unwanted behaviors in ways your cat actually comprehends and responds to. If you want more insights like this that actually work with cats, hit that subscribe button because we're always sharing practical tips that make living with cats so much easier. Let's learn how to say no in cat language. The first thing you need to understand is that cats don't respond to verbal reprimands. They respond to consequences and redirections. When your cat is doing something you don't want them to do, saying no doesn't tell them what's wrong or what they should do instead. They just hear noise. What actually works is immediately changing the situation so the unwanted behavior becomes less appealing or impossible to continue. For example, if your cat is scratching your couch, yelling no teaches them nothing. But if you immediately and calmly interrupt the behavior by making a neutral sound like ah, ah, or a quick hand clap, then redirect them to an appropriate scratching post and reward them for using it, you're actually communicating. You're saying, not that, do this instead, in a way cats can understand through cause and effect. The key is, the redirection must happen immediately, within 1 or 2 seconds of the unwanted behavior. Cats have very short-term memory for connecting actions to consequences, so delayed reactions don't work. They won't remember that scratching the couch 5 minutes ago was what upset you, but if you redirect them the instant they start scratching, they can make the connection. Using a sharp ts or pissed sound is way more effective than saying no because it mimics cat warning sounds. Cats use hissing sounds to communicate back off or stop that to each other, so a quick ts sound is actually in their language. When you make this sound the moment your cat is doing something unwanted, many cats will pause or stop because they recognize it as a warning signal. This sound should be sharp and quick, not loud or aggressive. You're not trying to scare your cat. You're giving them a signal in cat language that says, what you're doing right now is not acceptable. The beauty of this is that it's a neutral sound that doesn't carry anger or emotion, just information. Your cat can process it as communication rather than experiencing it as aggression. After making the ts sound to interrupt the behavior, immediately redirect your cat to an appropriate alternative. If they were jumping on the counter, redirect them to a cat tree. If they were scratching furniture, redirect to a scratching post. The sound interrupts, and the redirection teaches what they should do instead. This 2-step process actually communicates boundaries in a way cats can learn from. Environmental consequences teach no better than you ever could. Instead of trying to personally enforce every boundary, set up your environment so unwanted behaviors naturally have unpleasant consequences. This is brilliant because the consequence is immediate and consistent, and it's not connected to you, so it doesn't damage your relationship. For example, if your cat jumps on the kitchen counter, you could put double-sided tape on the edges. When your cat jumps up and feels the sticky sensation they hate, they learn counters feel bad, without you having to do anything. If your cat scratches a particular piece of furniture, covering it temporarily with aluminum foil or plastic creates an unpleasant texture that discourages scratching without any verbal no from you. Motion-activated air sprays can also work for areas you want to keep your cat away from. When your cat approaches, a puff of air startles them. Doesn't hurt, just surprises, and they learn that area is unpleasant without associating the negative experience with you. Over time, most cats will avoid these areas even after you remove the deterrents because the association has been made. The genius of environmental management is that it's teaching your cat boundaries 24/7, even when you're not home, and it's completely emotion-free. Your cat doesn't feel like you're angry at them or rejecting them. They just learn that certain choices lead to unpleasant results, so they make different choices. Physically removing your cat from situations without drama or punishment communicates boundaries clearly. If your cat is somewhere they shouldn't be, or doing something you need to stop immediately, calmly picking them up and moving them to an appropriate location is actually effective communication. The key is doing this calmly and neutrally, not roughly or with anger. For instance, if your cat jumps on the dinner table while you're eating, calmly pick them up and place them on the floor or a cat tree, then ignore them for a moment. No yelling, no angry tones, just removal from the situation. If they jump back up, repeat. Your cat learns, when I go on the table, I get removed, which is a natural consequence they can understand. This works because you're creating a consistent pattern. Certain behavior equals being moved. Cats are smart enough to learn this association, especially when it's paired with making appropriate alternatives appealing. If every time your cat is removed from the table, they're placed on a cat tree where they get treats or attention for being there, they learn both where not to be and where they should be instead. Comment down below if you've struggled with telling your cat no effectively. You're definitely not alone. And most people don't realize verbal commands don't work for cats. Turning your back and withdrawing attention is one of the most powerful no signals for cats. When your cat is doing something attention-seeking that you want to discourage, like biting your hands, meowing excessively for food that isn't due yet, or pawing at your face at 5 a.m., immediately turning away and completely ignoring them communicates that behavior doesn't get you what you want. Cats are incredibly smart about cause and effect when it comes to getting your attention. If meowing, scratching, or bothering you gets them attention, even negative attention like yelling, they'll keep doing it because it works. But when a behavior consistently results in you withdrawing all attention, turning away, leaving the room, or becoming completely unresponsive, cats learn that behavior is ineffective. The crucial part is being absolutely consistent. If you ignore the behavior 9 times but give in on the 10th, you've just taught your cat that persistence pays off and they'll become even more persistent. But if the behavior never results in getting what they want, most cats will eventually stop because it's not working. You're essentially saying, no, that won't get you what you want without ever verbally saying anything. Making appropriate alternatives more appealing than inappropriate behaviors says, not that, this instead in cat language. Instead of just trying to stop unwanted behaviors, focus your energy on making the right behaviors incredibly rewarding. This is positive redirection that teaches cats what you want them to do rather than just what you don't want. If your cat scratches furniture, don't just deter furniture scratching. Make scratching posts irresistible. Put them in prime locations. Use catnip to make them appealing. Praise and treat your cat enthusiastically when they use them. You're creating a situation where the right choice is so rewarding that it outcompetes the wrong choice. If your cat begs at the table, ignore the begging completely, but have scheduled feeding times or treat times that happen away from the table. Your cat learns begging gets nothing, but being in my cat area at specific times gets food. You're redirecting the food-seeking behavior to appropriate times and places rather than just punishing the inappropriate seeking. This approach works because cats are motivated by what benefits them. When you make good choices more beneficial than bad choices, cats naturally gravitate toward behaviors you want. You're not fighting against their nature. You're channeling their natural motivations toward outcomes you both prefer. Using timing to interrupt behaviors before they escalate is more effective than reacting after. Cats often show predictable body language before engaging in unwanted behaviors. If you learn to recognize these pre-behavior signals, you can interrupt and redirect before the unwanted action even happens, which is much more effective than trying to stop it mid-action. For example, before a cat scratches furniture, they often sniff it, stretch toward it, or do a little preparatory crouch. If you see these signs, immediately redirect to a scratching post before they even touch the furniture. You're preventing the unwanted behavior rather than reacting to it, which is clearer communication and more effective teaching. Before cats jump on counters, they often crouch and wiggle their butt, preparing to jump. If you interrupt during this preparation phase with a tess sound or by redirecting their attention to a toy, you stop the behavior before it happens. Your cat starts learning, when I think about jumping on the counter, something interrupts me, which is much more powerful than learning, when I'm already on the counter, I get removed. This proactive approach requires you to pay attention to your cat's body language and patterns, but it's incredibly effective. You're essentially saying no before the behavior happens by interrupting the thought process and redirecting the action, which creates much clearer learning. Consistency across all household members is essential for cats to understand boundaries. If you try to keep your cat off the counter but your partner allows it, your cat will be confused and won't learn a clear boundary. Cats need consistent rules from everyone in the household to understand what's acceptable and what isn't. This means everyone needs to use the same methods, enforce the same rules, and provide the same redirections. If one person uses a TSS sound to interrupt counter-jumping while another yells no and another laughs and pets the cat, there's no clear communication happening. The cat can't learn what's expected because the expectations keep changing. Have a household meeting about cat boundaries and agree on specific rules and methods for enforcing them. What areas are off-limits? What methods will you use to redirect? What appropriate alternatives will you provide? When everyone is on the same page, your cat receives clear, consistent communication that allows them to actually learn and respect boundaries. Ending play sessions immediately when play gets too rough teaches cats about bite and scratch boundaries. If your cat gets overstimulated during play and starts biting or scratching too hard, the most effective no is to immediately end all interaction. Stand up, walk away, and ignore your cat for several minutes. No anger, no punishment, just complete withdrawal of the fun. This teaches your cat that rough play ends playtime, which is a natural consequence they can understand. Most cats love playing with their humans and will quickly learn to moderate their intensity to keep the fun going. You're saying, gentle play continues, rough play stops everything in a way your cat can clearly comprehend through repeated experience. The key is being consistent and immediate. The second teeth or claws make hard contact, play stops. Over time, your cat learns the exact boundary of acceptable play intensity because they've experienced the consequence. End of fun enough times to make the connection. This is much more effective than yelling no or pushing your cat away, which they might interpret as continued play. Providing adequate outlets for natural behaviors prevents most no situations in the first place. Many unwanted behaviors happen because cats don't have appropriate ways to express natural instincts. Instead of constantly saying no to scratching, climbing, hunting, or playing, provide proper outlets for these behaviors and you'll rarely need to set boundaries. If your cat has amazing scratching posts in all the right locations, they're less likely to scratch furniture. If they have vertical climbing spaces, they're less likely to climb your curtains. If they get regular, intense play sessions, they're less likely to attack your feet at night. You're preventing most no situations by meeting your cat's needs appropriately. This is the foundation of living peacefully with cats. Work with their nature rather than constantly fighting against it. When you provide proper outlets and make them more appealing than inappropriate alternatives, you create an environment where your cat naturally makes choices you're happy with and you rarely need to communicate no at all. Make sure you're subscribed because we regularly share strategies like these that make cat ownership easier and more harmonious. Using positive reinforcement for good behavior is way more powerful than any no could ever be. Instead of focusing primarily on what you don't want your cat to do, put most of your energy into rewarding and reinforcing what you do want them to do. When your cat uses their scratching post, give treats and praise. When they stay off the counter, occasionally reward them for being on the floor or cat tree. When they play gently, continue the fun. Cats learn much faster and more reliably from positive reinforcement than from punishment or negative feedback. When good behaviors are rewarded consistently, cats repeat those behaviors to get more rewards. You're essentially saying, yes, that's perfect, in the clearest possible way, through positive consequences that your cat values. This doesn't mean never setting boundaries, but it means the ratio should be heavily skewed toward rewarding good choices rather than constantly trying to stop bad ones. When you catch your cat making good choices and acknowledge them, you're building positive patterns that naturally replace unwanted behaviors over time. Understanding that some no situations are really about unmet needs helps you address root causes. Sometimes what looks like misbehavior is actually your cat trying to communicate that something is wrong. A cat who suddenly starts eliminating outside the litter box isn't being bad. They might have a medical issue, or might be telling you the litter box isn't clean enough or is in a stressful location. Before you try to say no to a behavior, ask yourself why your cat might be doing it. Are they bored and acting out? Are they stressed? Do they have a health issue? Are their basic needs being met? Addressing the root cause often eliminates the unwanted behavior naturally without any no required. This compassionate approach treats your cat as a communicator rather than a misbehavior. When you interpret behaviors as information about your cat's needs rather than as defiance or naughtiness, you can solve problems at their source and create a better environment for both of you. Patience and repetition are essential because cats learn through experience, not language. Unlike dogs who can sometimes learn commands after just a few repetitions, cats typically need many consistent experiences before behavior patterns solidify. Don't get frustrated if your cat doesn't immediately understand what you're communicating. Keep being consistent, and they will learn over time. Every time you consistently interrupt an unwanted behavior and redirect to an appropriate alternative, you're creating a learning experience. Every time environmental consequences work as intended, your cat is learning. Every time good behavior is rewarded, the pattern strengthens. This takes time, but it works because you're working with how cats actually learn rather than against it. Remember that cats aren't trying to be difficult or disobedient. They're just being cats, and they don't instinctively know what humans want from them. When you patiently teach through consistent consequences, redirection, and positive reinforcement, most cats will learn to respect boundaries because they understand what you're communicating. The most important thing to remember is that saying no effectively isn't about dominance or control. It's about clear communication. You're not trying to force your cat to submit to your will. You're trying to create a shared understanding of boundaries and appropriate behaviors so you can both live together happily. When you use methods that cats actually understand, immediate consequences, environmental management, consistent redirection, positive reinforcement for good choices, you're speaking their language. Your cat learns what behaviors work and what behaviors don't, and they make choices based on that understanding. This creates a harmonious household without damaging your relationship or making your cat fear or resent you. Cats who understand boundaries through proper communication are more confident, less stressed, and better bonded with their humans than cats who just get yelled at without understanding why. You're setting your cat up for success by teaching them in ways that make sense to their feline brain. The ultimate goal is preventing most no situations through proper environment setup and need fulfillment. When your cat has everything they need, proper outlets for scratching, climbing, hunting, playing, mental stimulation, and affection, most unwanted behaviors simply don't happen. You're creating an environment where your cat naturally makes good choices because good choices are the most appealing and rewarding options available. This means investing in cat furniture, providing engaging toys, maintaining clean litter boxes, offering varied feeding methods, creating vertical territory, and dedicating time to interactive play. When these needs are met, your cat isn't driven to seek outlets through inappropriate behaviors. You've essentially eliminated most of the reasons you'd need to say no by designing your home and routine around your cat's natural needs. The cats who seem the best behaved aren't necessarily more obedient. They're usually just cats whose environments and routines meet their needs so well that they rarely feel motivated to engage in unwanted behaviors. When you set up this kind of environment, everyone wins. Remember, effective communication with your cat is about understanding their perspective and working with their nature. Cats aren't small dogs. They learn differently, they communicate differently, and they respond to different methods. When you stop trying to use verbal no commands and start using methods that actually make sense to cats, environmental consequences, immediate redirection, positive reinforcement, and consistency, you'll see dramatic improvement in behavior. Your cat wants to live peacefully with you, but they need you to communicate in ways they can actually understand. When you make that effort to speak cat language rather than expecting your cat to understand human language, training becomes easier, your relationship improves, and your household becomes much more harmonious. If you found this helpful and want to learn more about effective cat communication, make sure you're subscribed for more practical tips like these, and definitely check out this next video where we dive even deeper into understanding and working with cat behavior.